Here we are, folks. 10:37 a.m. Good morning from old Colorado City, Colorado Springs, USA. I don't like the way these glasses look. I'm gonna change glasses. Gonna change glasses because I'm vain. Like Carly Simon, you're so vain. You probably think this song is about you. You're so vain. All right. The microphone level seems to be working. Everything's going good. I'm not going through my interface. I'm just using the laptop. Next time I will do that, but that's requiring button pushings that I can't figure out right now. Here we go. Simple report, no amplifier rules. Good evening, everyone. Today I want to talk about something that might sound small at first, a ban on amplifiers for street performers, but in reality touches one of the most important freedoms we have in this country, the First Amendment. Street performance is not just entertainment, it is expression. Music, spoken word, comedy, and art are all protected forms of speech under the United States Constitution. The First Amendment doesn't only protect polite speech, popular speech, or quiet speech. It protects expressive activity in public spaces, especially in parks, sidewalks, and plazas, the very places where street performers work. In other words, this is called a traditional public forum. More on that later. When a city bans amplifiers outright, it is not regulating noise responsibly, it is suppressing speech. Courts have long recognized that governments may place reasonable time, place, and manner restrictions on speech, but those restrictions must meet three standards. They must be content neutral, narrowly tailored, and leave open ample alternative channels of communication. A total ban on amplification fails that test. First, it is not narrowly tailored. Instead of setting reasonable decibel limits, hours of use, or distance rules, the government chooses the bluntest instrument possible, silence. That's like banning books instead of limiting library hours. Second, banning amplification removes meaningful alternatives. Without an amplifier, performers are often physically incapable of reaching an audience in busy, noisy public spaces. Traffic, crowds, construction, and ambient noise already drown out unamplified voices and instruments. Telling the performer to just play louder is not an alternative. It's unrealistic and harmful. Third, public sidewalks and plazas are known as traditional public forums. These are places where speech gets the highest level of constitutional protection. When the government restricts expression in these spaces, the burden is on the government to prove the restriction is truly necessary. Convenience is not enough, discomfort is not enough, and control is certainly not enough. This issue is also about fairness. Amplifier allow elderly performers, disabled performers such as myself, and quiet voiced artists to participate equally. A ban doesn't affect everyone in the same way. It disproportionately silences people who already face barriers. Constitutional rights are not supposed to work only for the loudest voices. And finally, street performance is part of my cultural identity. It brings life to cities. It creates community. It allows artists without big stages or corporate backing to share their work directly with the public. When we restrict that, we don't just regulate sound, we regulate creativity. The Constitution does not protect silence, it protects expression. Instead of banning amplifiers, cities should regulate responsibly, set volume limits, define hours, protect nearby residents, but never erase a whole category of speech. Because when the government chooses convenience over our constitutional rights, we lose all our voice. Thank you. Now let's see how long that was. 3:39. So I started off talking. That's 3 minutes. I've got a couple other versions. Here we go. Here's another version. This is version number 2 I have to go. Today I stand before you to discuss the unconstitutionality. That was a lot. We're going to start that one over. All right, let's see where's our time. We're starting at 4 minutes. 2, 1, go. Today, I stand before you to discuss the unconstitutionality of a blanket ban on amplifiers, a policy that, since implemented, would violate the First Amendment of the United States Constitution. While no Supreme Court case directly addresses amplifiers as a form of speech, the foundational principles of free expression, as established in cases like Tinker versus Des Moines, 1969, and Schenck versus United States, 1919, make it clear that content-based regulations on speech, especially those that target expression without compelling government interest, are unconstitutional. Amplifiers are not merely tools for sound, they are instruments of expression. Whether used in a protest, a concert, or a public forum, amplification enables amendment Amplification enables individuals to convey their voices to a larger audience. Just as the First Amendment protects the right to speak, it also protects the means by which speech is amplified. A blanket ban on amplifiers without regard to context or intent treats all speech as equally dangerous regardless of content. This is a classic example of overbroad regulation, which the Supreme Court has consistently struck down. In Schenck versus the United States, the court upheld a conviction for distributing anti-draft pamphlets during wartime, but only because the speech posed a clear and present danger to national security. Even then, the court emphasized that the government must show a direct threat. A blanket ban on amplifiers, however, does not meet this standard. It does not target speech that poses a real danger, but rather all amplified speech, peaceful protests, political rallies, and artistic performances alike. Such a policy is not narrowly tailored and therefore violates the principle of content neutrality. Moreover, the government has a heavy burden to justify any restriction on speech. In Texas versus Johnson, 1989, the court ruled that burning the American flag is protected symbolic speech. If the government cannot ban flag burning, which is deeply offensive to many, me included, then it certainly cannot ban amplifiers, which are essential to democratic discourse. In conclusion, a blanket ban on amplifiers is a violation of the First Amendment. It is overbroad, content-based, and fails to distinguish between harmful and protected speech. We must defend the right to speak and to be heard without fear of government overreach. Let us not allow the tools of expression to be silenced in the name of control. In the U.S., it's generally unconstitutional to have a blanket ban on amplifiers for street performers because busking is First Amendment free speech. But governments can impose reasonable, content-neutral time, place, and manner restrictions like noise ordinances, setting decibel levels, 50 or 60. That's reasonable. And there's a whole lot more. I'm not going to continue reading it because I know I'm way past my thing. I've only got 3 minutes. I've got to get the best 3 minutes to wowzer them. Here, I got another one. Saya versus New York, 1948, is the foundational U.S. Supreme Court case that establishes the constitutional protection for using amplifiers in public speech. In this landmark decision, the court ruled that a New York City ordinance requiring a permit from the chief was unconstitutional on its face. The same as this rule, unconstitutional on its face. Peace, love, and pork chops. There we go. I got it in. I know I've got to tailor it and work it down. So that was my practice. I'm going to see how it sounds and learn how to edit. Peace. In stream.